morning, everyone. The last session we are trying to discuss with our Spring with Hibernate here. So to integrate with Spring and Hibernate here, what are the main concepts we identified here? Basically, we created one application file here. So the application file called Spring underscore Hibernate underscore application file. And here we are providing Spring related information as well as Hibernate related information here. So local session factory being and Hibernate template. So these two classes are main classes to integrate with our applications Spring and Hibernate here. Because if you observe, these two classes are implemented in our Spring framework here, but these are referring to the Hibernate related concepts here. So in that case, now what we identified: mapping resource, data source, and some of the Hibernate properties here. So these are the main properties we identified to integrate with our Hibernate here. So same example, today we'll try to connect with our annotation example here. So to connect with the annotation example, what are the main concepts we need to identify here? Okay, let me create one more file here. I want to create one more package here. Hibernate dot annotations. Okay, so this is the package we created. Inside this particular package, we'll create a one main class here. The main class will indicate here properties information here. So whatever the property, the application property file we created, same way this particular class will indicate the bean related configuration, something called Spring Hibernate application, not the application configuration file. Spring Hibernate configuration. So when we are declaring this particular class here, this particular class indicating as a bean tag. This particular class is indicating as a bean tags here. Getting the point. So how we declare this particular bean tag here? Now if you observe carefully, here, where is the class? Oh. So this is all about our configuration file here, right? Inside this particular configuration file, we defined as a beans, and internally we are working as a bean here. Internally, we are working as a bean here, right? Now, with the help of this particular same application file, we need to work on our configuration class. The configuration class also will contain the same information here. So what are the information we are providing here? The same information we are going to define in our configuration file. Okay, so first what we will do, we'll create a data source here. So this is the bin we already discussed here, data source. So this particular data source here, we already identified in our JDBC related example here. Where is our JDBC related example? Hibernate. Okay, so this is not about our correlated examples. Okay, so anyway, we'll try to recreate the one more classes here. And here, now what I want to write here, this is indicating bean level information. So now I want to create the data source here. So to create this particular data source here, what we can do? Data source here. Get data source method. And we already identified the particular. So data source is indicating here which class is implemented here. Driver manager data source here. Getting the point. Now I want to create an object for this particular driver manager data source here. If you observe carefully, driver manager data source here, getting the point. This is all about our driver manager data source. I want to import this particular data source class. Right. So now this is the data source object we created. On top of this particular data source, we can go for the bean annotation. So this particular bean annotation is indicating here bean tag here. Getting those whatever the bean tag we created in our application property file. So this particular bean tag is indicating at the rate bean annotation. Okay, now we created. Now what we need to do, we need to create this particular properties here. Just we created object of driver manager data source here, but we need to create this particular properties here. So to create this particular properties, now what we can do? Now if you observe, auto wide and now you can see driver class name. So this particular driver class name we need to set. So now if you want to understand here driver class name, so the same driver class name we need to set here. So how we can set here? Here with the help of this particular environment here, get property. Inside this particular property, what is the value we can define here? How this particular the driver class we are going to load. Getting the point. How we are trying to load this particular driver class name here. So this particular property file will recreate one more property file. So otherwise we'll go for the Hibernate property file and we'll use this particular hibernate.connection.driver class. Data source dot URL. And the same URL we are going to use here. This one, Hibernate connection.url. And username. The username here, how we are created? Hibernate connection username. Right. So this is all about our database data information. Because inside our database here, driver class name, URL, and username and password here. So these are the main concepts we provided here. Getting the point. So we created this section of code. Now we can go for the session factory. Now we can go for the session factory. So to create this particular session factory, now what we can do, we need to create the object of this particular local session factory bean. How we are going to create this particular local session factory bean? Now if you observe, get session factory. So this is all about the our local session factory bean. Right. We created the local session factory bean and factory. Okay. Now if you observe carefully, just object we created for the this particular local session factory bean. Now what we need to write here? Because internally, which is expecting first property data source and second property mapping resource, third property Hibernate properties. Getting the point. So first we will create the data source here. So to create the data source, now what are the steps we need to write? Now you can see factory dot set data source here. And here I'm calling get data source method internally. Factory dot set mapping resource. Here, which is expecting mapping resource here. So what are the mapping resource we can specify here? Right, mapping resource, what is the parameter is expecting here? We can see the parameter is expecting a string where our concept mapping resource here. Okay, so here we'll try to provide the our mapping information. So what is the mapping information we have? Here, employee HBN.xml. Getting the point. So mapping resource we provided. Factory dot set Hibernate properties. This particular Hibernate properties, what is the objective which is expecting here? Now you can see basically this particular Hibernate properties. So properties has a parameter is expecting here. But as of now, we did not create the particular property here. Now what we can do? We'll create the properties here. Properties here. Right. Now we created this particular Hibernate properties here. Once we created this particular Hibernate properties here, internally we need to set the values here. So what are the properties we used here? We need to set the all the values here. Sorry. Here we can go for the put method. This particular put method, now what we can do? We need to define the configuration section here. So HBM to DDL auto. Here, what is the value we can provide? Here, the value auto. Getting the point. So this is the one property, and another property here, SQL related information here. And here, this is indicating as a key The value we are going to load from the which class here? Property file here, right? And let me add a annotation on top of this particular bean. Okay, so we created these two sections of code. Getting the point? So data source we created, session factory we created. Now what is our another steps we need to create here? Hibernate template. Hibernate template we need to create here. Okay, so let's see how we can create this particular Hibernate template. Hibernate template here. Hibernate template. Now what we can do, after creating this particular Hibernate template here, we'll return template. And what are the steps we are making internally? Hibernate template internally, which is expecting session factory. Now what are the steps we can write here? Template dot set session factory. And here we can call get session factory here. The get session factory method I'm calling here. Getting the point? So to work on the Hibernate template here. Okay, so Hibernate template also we created here. And so these are the main classes here, service IMPL and DOI MPL. So this particular service IMPL and DOI MPL here, now what we are going to write here, basically we'll create from the stereotype annotations here. How we are going to create this example as a stereotype here. Getting the point? So to work on this particular stereotype annotations here, first what we need to write here, this class we need to provide as a main configuration class, right? And we can go for the component scan here. Getting the point? Our base packages here. What is our base package here? Spring dot annotations here. And the final one we need to provide here property source here. And here property source is expecting value. What is the name of the file we are going to use? Hibernate dot properties. Getting the point? So this is the file we are going to use here. Now observe, we created the component scan. So we already discussed this particular component scan and the property source here. Getting the point? When we are trying to work on the JDBC related annotation example, we discuss about these are the concepts here. And here we are providing the information where this particular Hibernate property file is available. And this is indicating here when we are trying to work on the stereotype annotations. The stereotype annotations here, so what we can call it as a Spring container here, it will look for the package name and what to inside this particular package, what are the classes we are going to have. All the classes are will created by default here whenever we are going to make the stereotype annotations here. Okay, so as of now we did not create any stereotype annotations as of now. Just we created the bean configuration. So these are the main bean configurations here. Right. So after this, now what we can do, I want to copy the all the classes example here. So employee DO, employee DO MPL, employee service I MPL here. Right. And so once we copy this example into our annotations here. Now what we can do on each class, we can go for the annotations here. So what are the annotations we can create here? First will come from the service IMPL. So this particular class I want to make service annotation here, service annotation, and internally, so which is expecting auto void, right? This is all about the service IMPL, and we'll go for the DO IMPL. Inside this particular employee DOMPL, I want to create as a repository annotation here, and here we can go for the auto void here, auto void annotation, right? So these are the main configuration we need to create here. If you observe here, whenever we are making the stereotype annotation, service and repository, these are the stereotype annotations. So we discussed in our last section of code here. Back to here, when we are making this particular stereotype annotations here, Hibernate is going to create an object of the particular classes here based on the class name here. But here the first letter it should be small here. First letter should be small here. Now here I want to make here value here. So what is the value I want to load here? Something called. So whenever we are making value, so here we can define the whatever the name we want to provide. So based on this particular name, the object is going to created. Based on this particular value name, so Spring Container object is going to created like this here. Okay. So we'll see how this particular objects are going to work. Now the service classes we created and DO class also we created. Now the final one we need to create our main class here. The final one we need to create our main class here. The same main class I want to copy into annotation package. But if you observe carefully, the XML we are not using. We are not using XML configuration. So what is the configuration we are using here? Annotation configuration. Now what we can do, annotation config application context here. Now if you see, so it's going to expect the value here, annotation application context here, and application context which is expecting annotated classes here. So here we need to specify our base class here. What is our base class here? Spring Hibernate configuration here. Getting the point? So this is only the changes we need to define here. This is only the changes we need to define here. Getting the point? Now we'll go for the employee.hbm file here. So we need to use native here. Okay, the ID yesterday we changed it. We need to use as it is here. So generator class ID. And finally, what are the changes we made in the last session? Hibernate properties. So we updated. Okay. Right. So this is the main configuration we need to use. So which is coming from the our annotation package. Let's see. We'll try to define one more example here. So I'm trying to run this particular application. We'll observe if any errors we are going to get, or so without any error, the data is going to store into the database or not. We need to understand here. So class cast exception we are getting here. Okay. Basically here, local session factory B. We'll change the where we implemented the configuration file here. Right. So these are the main configuration we can define here. So whenever we are trying to convert object into the interface type, we are getting a class cast exception. So now I change to the class type here. So second one we are getting an exception here. So mapping exception, unknown entity annotation dot employee. So up to this, the employee we created here, but annotation level we don't have the employee here. Now what we can do? So this particular employee.hbm file we need to change here. Annotations. The package name we need to change here. Finally, I want to run one more time. Now observe, with help of this particular next value, the data is inserted into the employee table and one record is created here. Okay, so we'll run with the same example here. Where is the employee? Okay. Now observe, the third record is inserted and second record is coming from the previous example. Now what we will do, here I will change here. SP. So we'll try to run with one more information here. Now observe here how the data is inserting. Okay. So basically the table is data is not refresh like so recreated the table structure here. Whatever the structure we used yesterday, from the same structure we are trying to create here. Okay. Now I want to go for the 4 here. The table is inserted into the database here. Observe, fourth record is also inserted here. Fourth record is also inserted. So this is all about the Hibernate information here. Now what we can do, so instead of working with this particular Hibernate template here, so directly we can go for the same example. Directly, we can go for the same example here. So to understand here, instead of Hibernate template here, now what we can do? We can define session factory. We can go for the session factory here. I want to generate the select setter here. Right. So setter method is be implemented. Session factory dot get current session. Right. So now what I'm trying to write here, current session dot save, current session dot save or update. So inside this particular current session, we don't have find method. Now, what are the different method we are having here? So create method, create criteria, create query, getting the point. Get method, we and okay. Now, object we are getting here. And return this particular object. Getting the point. Now, we need to define the auto-void annotation. So auto-void annotation we defined here. So one more record I want to store here. With the help of this particular 58 here, I want to store one more record. Let's see how this particular session factory is working here. Non-transactional one here. Okay. So to create here, first what we need to do, we need to go for the transaction information. And the transaction information I'm going to create here. Here we are having Hibernate Transaction Manager. We are working on the 3 here. And we can provide here session factory as a parameter. Now what we can do, we'll create an object of this particular Hibernate Transaction Manager. manager is equals to new Hibernate transaction manager, and manager dot set session factory. Return manager. Getting the point. Finally, we'll create a @bean here on top of this particular transaction manager. Okay, we'll come back to the main class, and we'll try to run our application. No hibernation bond. Yes. Okay. So if you see, so there is no insert query here. Now we'll understand here with the 58 whether the record is inserted. So there is no with the 58 record here. So create class throws a invocation target exception. So using data source driver manager data source of Hibernate session factory. Scheme updated. Why open session? No transaction manager lookup configured in JT environment. Named query checking is enabled. Okay, so these are the properties we identified, but now we are getting an a like the transaction is not yet committed here. So to commit this particular transaction, now what are the steps we need to write? Let's see. No. So explicit commit. To work on the explicit commit here, one more template we need to create here. So automatically it needs to take the particular commit here. Something we are missing here. no Hibernate transaction data source and session factory and configuration here. Why with the session factory is not working? Let's see, any configuration is missing. Local session factory bean and data source mapping resource and so dial is not provided, right? Direct is not a matter. Annotations we are not working. Session factory and so template is handling transaction information, but session factory is not handling the transaction. So now we'll try with no, something is rollbacking the data here. Why? Table found foreign keys index schema. Materialize blob only. JDBC driver. Okay. Okay. So I will check with this particular session factory related here. So why the data is not storing with session factory, but we identified with Hibernate template the data is storing into the database here. Getting the point. So maybe it's going to take some time to find out the so what we are missing here. So I'm expecting here we did not miss anything here, but still we need to debug what exactly the problem we are having when we are trying to work for the session factory here. Okay. So whenever we are working for the session factory, it is specific to the Hibernate here. So we need to provide some more information, I think. Okay. I will let you know, but before going to move with another concepts here, first you need to understand the configuration part here. So this is the data source here. The data source is going to work with the database configuration here. So the database configuration will create inside the data source object, and the session factory, this particular local session factory bean, which is going to work as a our Spring with Hibernate integration section code here, and finally we work with a template class here. So with the help of this particular Hibernate template here, now what we are doing is internally we are integrating with our Hibernate here. Okay, so from the Spring we are integrating with this Hibernate here. So I'm requesting try to practice the remaining code operation example here. So just we identified one example how we can store the data into the database here. Okay, now, so any questions so other than this particular session factory? Okay, if you don't have anything, we'll try to move with another concept called managing transactions here. Basically, to manage the transaction, how we need to write the code in our Spring applications here. Getting the point? And we'll try to understand the where exactly this particular transactions are going to work in the real-time scenarios here. So to find out the simple example here, we can go like we'll try to understand some banking related application example here. How exactly the banking related applications those are going to use this particular transaction behavior here, right? And internally the transactions are going to work with several operations here. The transactions are going to work on the several operations here, and the all the operations here it's going to convert it into the our single unit of work here. How many operations we are performing it, all it will convert it into the single unit of work. So once this particular the single unit of work is going to success, the entire transaction is going to success here. So otherwise the transaction is going to fail here. So once the transaction is failure here, the data is going to roll back here. The particular data is going to roll back here. Getting the point? So this is all about the simple transaction here. Now, if you understand the real-time scenario, where exactly the transactions are going to use. For example, I'm having one account to call saving and another account to call something called current account. Getting the point? So from the saving here, now what I'm trying to write here, getting the point? I'm trying to transfer something called 100. This particular 100 amount I want to transfer from the saving account into the current account here. Saving account into the current account here. So what are the steps we need to perform here? Getting the point? So first we need to check here inside this particular saving account whether we are having the particular 100 amount is there or not. Getting the point? So once this particular amount is available, now what we can do? We can perform the operations here. Okay, so 100 it's successfully debited from this particular saving account here. This particular 100 is debited from the saving account here. Right. The same 100 is not stored like credited into the current account. The same amount it is not credited into this particular current account here. Getting the point? So here, who is going to get the benefit here? By transferring the amount here, the amount is failed here based on some network issue or bank server related issue. Getting the point? So different issues, the amount is not yet credited into the current account here. Getting the point? So who is going to get the benefit here? The bank people can get the benefit here. So why the bank people can get the benefit here? Because the amount is debited from the saving account, but it is not credited into this particular current account here, right? So here the bank people getting the advantage here. Same way, so one more operation here. Now if you observe, this particular 100 rupees is not debited from the saving account, but the 100 is credited into the current account. The 100 is credited into the current account. So here the saving account person having 100 and the current person also having 100 here. But here who is getting the benefit here? First time bank is getting the benefit here. Second time person is getting the benefit here. Person is getting the benefit here. Now what you are understanding is, so one operation the bank is getting, another operation the person is getting. So we don't want to give this kind of transactions here. Getting the point? Something is happened. Amount one saving account to current account here. If anything happen here, we need to roll back the data. Getting the point? We need to roll back the data and so whatever the amount we get from the like particular account here, we need to save we need to return back to the same account here. Getting the point? If you are not doing here the business, like whatever the business we are expecting here, so we cannot implement the particular business here. So we are going to lose our business here. So the bank people, after some days, they can close the bank here because so they are not making the good transactions here. Sometimes the bank is going to lose. Sometimes the bank is going to get an advantage here. Getting the point? So we don't want to make this kind of operations here. So how exactly we can implement the application with help of the transaction? So if you see, the Spring transaction is going to work here. The Spring transaction is going to implement here. Getting the point? This particular Spring transaction is going to work here. So to find out some certain operations here. So it's going to check whether the saving account is eligible to transfer the amount or not. So if it is eligible to now it will try to carry the amount, like it will try to debit the amount from the saving account. It will try to insert the same amount into the current account. So while performing the same transaction, if anything is happening here, it's going to roll back the transaction and the amount is debited back to the same saving account here. So everything is going to handle by the transactions here. Everything is going to handle by the Spring transaction. Okay. Now what we need to understand here, how we can implement the Spring transaction to perform this kind of operations here. Getting the point? So one more example we need to understand here. One more example we need to understand here. So if you see, whenever we are moving in, like whenever we are trying to book any book ticket here, like something called air ticket or bus ticket or any movie ticket here. Now what happens internally? What happens internally? So what are the steps we need to follow here? So as a end user, something called as a person, now what we will do, we'll connect to our application here. So this is something called ticket related application. Getting the point? So ticket related application. So for example, if it is a movie related ticket application here, first what we need to understand here, first we need to verify the seat here. First we need to verify the seat here. How many seats we are having to book a seat here, and later we need to reserve the seat here. Getting the point? We need to reserve the seat here, and after reserving, what we can do, we need to make the payment here. Getting the point? So once the payment is successful, so they are going to issue the ticket here. Getting the point? Now if you see, these are the main basic 4 operations here. Whenever we try to open this particular ticket related website here, so we are going to perform these 4 operations here, and we need to verifying the seat. So based on the verification, we'll reserve the seat and we'll make the payment, and the ticket application is going to issue the seat here. Yep, everything is going successful. The transaction is going to commit, and if any changes, like if anything is happened, the transaction is going to roll back here. Getting the point? And here we are going to commit here. Right, here we are going to commit the changes here. So how exactly we are going to commit the changes? So this we need to understand very carefully here. This we need to understand very carefully here. Basically, what I want to provide here. So for example, this particular, we are trying to identify the 4 operations here. 4 operations. Now, like I'm trying to make the payment. So while making the payment here, sometimes what happen here, we may get some exception. So based on the payment here, how we are going to make the payment. So through the credit card or net banking or any debit card, right? So for example, if I am making the transaction based on the credit card here. So once the credit card limit is crossed here, the limit is exceed here. Now what happened internally? So we cannot make the payment here, because within the limit only we need to make the payment here. So now how the application is going to understand here. So for example, the application is not understand the credit card limit here. Now what it will do? Now what it will do, even though if we get an exception from the bank here, so this particular application is not going to consider the bank related exceptions here. So directly it will release the tickets here. So the transaction is going to commit and it will release the ticket. But here, who is going to get a benefit and who is going to get the lose concepts here, the business losing here. So as a application here, they cannot do they are going to lose the business here, because they did not receive the payment, but they are trying to release the tickets here. Getting the point. So this is also the something is happening here. And sometimes what happen here, if we get any exception here, all these 4 steps we need to roll back here. If I'm not roll backing here, now what happened here? So this particular seat is reserved by another user. So whenever we are trying to enter into the new user as this particular application, the seats are reserved here. The seats are occupied by some other users here. But here, based on the other users here, as the particular organizer cannot get the payment here, because based on some bank related issue or credit card related issue or any debit card related issue, so they did not receive the payment, but all the seats are reserved here. Getting the point? All the seats are reserved here. But this is also very disadvantage here. If the payment is not done, we need to roll back all the steps here, and the seats also we need to unreserve the seats here. So everything is going to handle by the transaction here. Everything is going to handle by the transaction. Now we identify how exactly the transaction is going to work based on the some real time example we identified here. Okay. Now we need to understand here, we identify the real time scenario, but how we can implement this particular transaction here. So to implement this particular transaction, what are the steps we need to follow? The steps we need to follow here, internally the transaction is going to work on the 4 components here. What are the 4 components this particular transaction is going to work? First one, KCID. Basically, these are the 4 component. Based on this particular 4 component, transaction is going to work in our Spring framework. Okay. Now observe. So what is a meaning here? A is nothing but atomic here. So what exactly the atomic component is going to work? Basically, if you observe, Here, how many operations we are performing here? Here we are trying to perform 4 operations here. So verifying seat, reserving seat, making the payment and issuing the tickets here. So this particular 4 operations here, this particular 4 operations is is going to converted into the single unit of work. The single unit of work is successful or failure carrying the pen. So the particular transaction is going to roll back here. So based on the failure concept here. But here now what you need to understand here, this particular atomic component here, what it will do, it will try to convert the group of operation into the single unit of work. Getting the point. Once a single unit of work is successful, the transaction is going to commit. So otherwise, the transaction is going to roll back here. So this is going to take care of this particular atomic component here, right? And so another one we need to understand here, consistent here. Consistent here. So how exactly the consistent is going to work? So basically here, once the transaction is end, getting the point. Once the transaction is end, whether it is a successful or failure, getting the point. Whether it is a successful or failure here, now what we need to understand, wherever the business is performing here, the state of object here, getting the point. So we need to make the same state without modifying here, getting the point. So we need to like handle the same state information here. We need to handle the same state information here. So for example, if we observe one example here, we are verifying the seat and reserve seat making. While making the payment from the ticketing application to, we'll go for some bank related application here. We'll go for the bank related applications here. Whenever we are moving into this particular bank related application, so we need to we need to save the same state of object here. If the state of object is changed here, we cannot get the expected result here. Getting the point? Because while making the payment, we are connected to the other application. So based on the other application response here, so we need to move, like we need to issue the ticket, or we need to roll back all the remaining operations here. Getting the point? So how we are going to identify it here? Because of the current object state here. In the current object state, we will understand the reserving the seat, like the seat number 12 or 13. Those information we are going to get in the current state. If successful, we'll issue the ticket. If failure, so we will unreserve the how many seats the user is trying to book. Will unreserve those seats information here. Getting the point? So those section of code is going to handle by the consistent here. So now what you need to understand here, basically, so it's going to the consistent model is going to handle by the current state of object information while performing the transaction operations here. Right. And another one we need to understand here. Another one we need to understand here, isolated. Getting the point? So isolated. Basically, this particular isolated, here we are going to work with multiple users on the same data here. Getting the point? On the same data, multiple users are going to work here. But here, so without each user is going to work on without each user is going to work with the same other here. Basically, if you observe what I want to provide, this particular isolated concept here, and here multiple user they are trying to work for this particular application. This particular application, multiple users enter into the application, and all the users verifying and reserving seat and making the payment. So if you see the user 2 and user 5, user 2 and user 5, so they are trying to book the same seats here. user 2 and user 5, the seat number 13 and seat number 14, the user 2 and user 5, they are trying to book here. Now what happens is, so we cannot give the same seats to the different user, because so when they enter into the hall here, definitely they will fight with each other here, because of our application problem here. So we cannot give the same seat information to the two users. Now what we can do? Getting the point. So we doesn't know whether the same user, they're trying to book the same seats or different seats, right? With the help of this particular isolated internally, whenever they are making the payment, here, so we are going to make some locking system on the particular databases here, the database tables here. How we are going to make the locking system here? Getting the point. The locking system is going to handle by this particular isolated, or we can call it as a isolation concept here. Right. So once the payment is success, the lock is going to release by the one user, and even the payment is failed also, the lock is going to release. But here, now what we need to understand here, once the thread of operation is complete, whether it is a successful or failure, the lock is going to release. So based on the lock release, so one more user is enter into the particular table. Getting the point. But here, now what we need to get, if the particular seats occupied by another user, so the second user cannot book the seats here. So he need to get some message here. So the seats are occupied by some other user, right? So this section of code is going to handle by the isolated concepts here. So isolated is a very important here. Internally is going to make some locking system. Getting the point. Whenever the data we are trying to inserting here. Whenever we are trying to inserting and updating here. Reading purpose, we are not going to make any locking here, because the data is already updated in the databases. Just we are going to load the data from the database. So for this case, we don't want to make any locking mechanism. Only the insertion and updating database tables here, we are going to make the locking concept here. So the locking concept is going to handle by the isolated here. And the final one we need to understand here. So durable here. So this particular durable, what it will do? Once this particular transaction is completed, the transaction result we are going to make permanently. The transaction result we are going to make permanently. Getting the point. So the user is trying to book the seats. Getting the point. So while booking the seats here, if everything is go successful, now the data we are going to save permanently. While booking the another user same seats here, now what we can do? The seats are reserved by the some other user here. The seats are reserved by the some other user, so that the another user cannot book the same seats here. The particular data we are going to store permanently with help of the one more component called durable. So this is all about the four component which we are going to use in our Spring framework here. The Spring framework transaction is going to implement based on this particular four component here. So any questions regarding this particular four components here? Okay. Now what we will do, so basically the Spring framework is going to work for, like, is going to support programmatic and declarative transaction management. So we need to see both here, how we can define the programmatic transaction and declarative transaction management here. Right in the point. So to work on the transaction manager, the Spring is come with different transaction manager. What are the transaction manager we are having? For the JDBC, we can go for the data source transaction manager. For Hibernate, we identified Hibernate transaction manager. So just now we created the Hibernate transaction manager here. So this is indicating Hibernate Transaction Manager. And to work on the JDBC related here, we are going to have one more transaction manager that is called Data Source Transaction Manager. So the Data Source Manager we cannot use in the Hibernate application. So it is applicable only in the JDBC related applications here. Right? Now we'll go for this particular transaction manager. To work on this particular transaction manager, now what we can do? We need to define the transaction manager configuration. The transaction manager configuration, how we can define here, we'll write with a simple example. Now what we can do, here we can go for the one more bean here. One more bean. Transaction manager and class here. So what is the transaction manager we are implementing here? Something called, this is our transaction manager class. And internally, transaction manager is going to expect here session factory. Getting the point. So this is the way we can define the transaction manager with the help of the XML configuration. Right. And the session factory property we are wiring with our session factory object here. We are trying to wire with the session factory object here. And here, this particular Hibernate transaction manager is responsible for transaction management here and is going to start from the transaction interface here. Just now we identified already the transaction is going to work on the based on this particular transaction. org.hibernate.transaction here. The transaction manager is going to work on the based on this particular transaction interface here. Okay. Now observe how you can work with the programmatic transaction here. So to work on this particular programmatic transaction, again Spring come with one more template here. What is the template we are having here? Something called transaction template here. Now you can see this is our transaction template here. With the help of this particular transaction template, we'll try to implement the example here. Getting the point. Now we'll observe transaction. Here we can define the transaction template, and we'll try to provide this particular setter method. Okay. Now we implemented the transaction template. With the help of this particular transaction template here, now what we can do, we can call here execute here. Getting the point. So we can work with the execute here. And so this section of code we'll try to write inside this particular doing transaction. We'll try to write doing transaction here. So based on this particular doing transaction, now what we will do, we'll go for the try block here. Okay. While saving this, if we get any exception, we'll roll back the transaction. Set rollback only. And we'll throw an exception also. Local variable message defined in inclusion scope. Okay. Okay, now what we can understand here, if we are not getting any exception, so the record successfully inserted into the database here. Getting the point. If anything fail here, we are going to throw an exception and we are making the set transaction rollback here. Getting the point. So this is we need to write with a programmatic transaction template here. To work on this particular transaction template here, now what we can do? Here, which is expecting property here. Here, which is expecting one property, we need to write employee service. Okay, transaction template. But where we can create this particular transaction template here? Internally, so for making the reference as well as we can go for the internally also. And sorry. So this is, we are making wrong here. We need to create here. Sorry, okay, here only. Transaction template. This particular transaction template internally is expecting one more bean, one more property that is called transaction manager. Transaction manager. Right. So this is the way we can go for the programmatic transaction. How we are implementing this particular programmatic transaction with help of this particular transaction template execute, and we are calling internally save employee. So if anything is fail here, we'll roll back in the transaction. Or if everything is go successful, the transaction template is going to commit the changes here. Getting the point. So this is all about the simple example on the transaction template here. Now what we can do, we'll go for the fourth record here, something 42. Okay, so mapping we are getting here, because mapping we changed here. Now you can see sequence is generated and object also inserted here. Null is nothing but the main method we are returning null here. The particular service IMPL we are returning null, because if anything is we got an exception, we'll get an exception here. We are not getting any exception, is nothing but the data is inserted into the successfully. We'll see with the 42. Okay. So here we are working with a sequence generator. Because of this particular sequence generated, object is inserted. Now transaction here. We'll go for the here, some different here. Role here. Transaction manager. Now we'll understand whether this particular record is inserted or not. Now you can see transaction TR and transaction manager. So this is the way we can go for the programmatic transaction here. So while working with the programmatic transaction, what are the steps we need to write? First, we need to configure the transaction template. The transaction template where we created inside the service IMPL class. And internally, transaction template is expecting transaction manager. The transaction manager internally, which is expecting session factory here. Internally, which is expecting session factory. Okay. Now we identified. So how we can work for the declarative transaction. So this is all about the programmatic transaction. Now how we can work with the declarative transaction. So to work with the declarative transaction here, we need to define the annotation called transactional annotation here. Getting the point. So we need to define the transactional annotation here. So with help of this particular transaction annotation, how we can work here. Now if you observe, the transactional annotation which is going to work with different behaviors here. So simple example, here I want to save employee here. If I'm going to make this particular transactional, this is the declarative transactional. Getting the point. So this is all about the declarative transactional. This particular declarative transactional will have a different attributes here. What are the different attributes we are going to have? So inside this particular different attributes, we need to understand the first attribute called propagation. So what it will do, this particular propagation here, and the propagation behavior. So it's going to, like, the propagation behavior is going to define the boundaries of the transaction. Getting the point. It's going to define the boundaries of the transaction between the client and method being called. So if you see, what happened? Here, propagation. Now we can see we are having one attribute called propagation, and this particular propagation mandatory, nested, never, not support, required, requires new support. Getting the point. So these are the different attributes we are having here. These are the different attributes we are having. So propagation equals to mandatory. Now what you are understanding here? So this particular transaction, if I'm going to make on top of the method level or on top of the class level, this particular class or method is expecting transaction mandatory. If the transaction is not available, getting the point, transaction is not available, what happens internally? We are going to get an exception here. We are going to get an exception here. So this we need to understand very carefully here whenever we are going to make mandatory. Propagation dot mandatory. And other than this particular mandatory, now what we identified here, nested. So nested is nothing but if nested is also is expecting the transaction here, but if it is not available for the current year, so it's going to check for the any for the previous object the nested transaction is running. So if it is running, it will try to carry the previous transaction and it will work for the current objective. The current objective operations here. This is all about the nested here. Never is nothing but that this particular method is not going to check any transactions here. Is not going to check any transactions here. So not support. This particular method or class, whenever we are making the particular transaction annotation here, it will not support the transaction. Now what happens if it is not supported here? We'll see what are the information we'll have here. Now you can read here every information, like every the particular enum type here is going to provide the more information here. So each and every information we are going to give, we are going to provide the inside this particular propagation style here. So it creates a new transaction and suspend the current transaction if one exists. For which one? Requires new. Requires new. Right? We are talking about the not supported. Execute non-transactional only. Suspend the current transaction if one execute. Getting the point. If anyone the current transaction we are having, the current transaction is going to suspend it again, and it's going to work as a simple non-transactional object here, and never. Now you can see. So it will also execute the non-transactionally, but any transaction exist here, it will throw an exception. Getting the point? It will throw an exception. So this behavior it applicable for the never, the propagation never, and nested here. Now you can see execute within the nested transaction if the current transaction is exist. Getting the point? If the current transaction is exist here, is going to work as a nested transaction. So is nothing but is going to work as a like inherited concept. If any superclass or if any subclass is existing, like is running with any transaction, same way this particular current transaction also is going to work. And now you can see mandatory. So mandatory. Now what you understand again? So it supports the current transaction. If the current transaction is not available, it will throw an exception. And supports here. So it is a simple one. It's not going to throw any exception here. Basically, it will support the current transaction and it execute the non-transaction if no transaction is exist here. Getting the point. If you see, whenever we are making the support here, it will work for the transaction related information. If the transaction is not available, it will not throw any exception, and it's work for the non-transaction object here, right? And required here. So the required here, it is also support the current transaction, and it will try to create a new one if any existing transaction is not available. It will try to create a new one if any existing transaction are not available. If any existing is available, it will try to work for the existing one. So this is the difference between required and required new. Required new every time is going to create the new transaction, even though if we are having the existing transaction, It will terminate the existing transaction and it will create the new transaction. So this is all about the behavior here. So simply now what we can do, we can make the support here. We can go for the support here. If the support is like if the transaction is running, it will support. Otherwise, it will work as a simple non-transaction object here. So this is all about the propagation we identified here. And now we can go for the isolation concepts here. So another one here, isolation. Now you can see this is the isolation concept here because the component we identified isolated. The isolated component implemented here, how it is implemented. So default read committed, read uncommitted, and repeatable read and serializable. Now what you understand here, so default one. So default one, how it will work here. Now we'll see how this particular default one is going to work. So use the default isolation level of the underlying data store and all the other level correspond to JDBC. But now what you understand here, so default one, we are not going to make any the locking system and we are not going to take care of the transaction. We are not going to take care of any transaction here. So we'll observe another one here, read uncommitted. So read uncommitted, now what we need to understand here. Basically, and now you can see here we are having so dirty read and non-repeatable reads and phantom reads here. Getting the point. So here these three are applicable here. So dirty read, non-repeatable read and phantom read here. So what exactly which is going to provide these three here? So dirty read, what exactly the dirty read is indicating is when one transaction read the data, so that has been written by another transaction but not yet committed here. Carrying the point, but not yet committed by another transaction. So simple understanding here, transaction 1 is trying to read the data, the transaction 2 is updated by, but the transaction 2, it is not yet committed here. It is not yet committed. So if the data is not yet committed here, it may be committed or it may not be committed here. It may be committed or it may not be committed. Now what happens here internally? So if I'm trying to load the data which is not yet committed, whatever the expected result we are expecting, we are not going to get here. So this is indicating the dirty reads here. And non-repeatable read. What exactly the non-repeatable read is providing the information? When the transaction perform the same query, so 2 or more times here. Getting the point? The single transaction is trying to perform the same query multiple times here. Each time we are going to get to different data. Getting the point? Each time we are going to get to different data. It is due to of another concurrent transaction is trying to updating the data here. Updating the data. So this is also very important here. Observe here the difference between these two, dirty read and non-repeatable read. Dirty read, one transaction is one transaction trying to read the data, which is not yet committed by another transaction. Same way in the non-repeatable, the transaction 1 is trying to load the data multiple times. For each time we are getting the different data because the transaction 2 is trying to update the data on the same table here. But both the transactions are not yet committed here. Both the transactions are not yet committed. If we want to go for this particular behavior, now we can go for the read uncommitted here. Just we can read the data which is not yet committed here. And how exactly the phantom read is providing here. Phantom read is also similar to the non-repeatable read here. But here is only occur the transaction T1, it's going to read the several rows. Getting the point? It's going to read the several rows of the particular table, and the transaction 2 is inserting the rows here. Getting the point? The transaction 2 is trying to insert the several rows, The same, the whatever the transaction inserted the several rows, the transaction 1 is trying to read the data here. The transaction 2 is trying to read the data here. Getting the point. Here also, we are not going to get the committed data here. For this case, now what we can do? We can go for the read uncommitted here. Read uncommitted. So is nothing but, so just we are updating, like how many transactions the data is updating here. We'll try to work on the uncommitted data here. Uncommitted data here. Now we can see read committed here. Read committed here. Now if you observe, the consent indicating that the read are prevented here. And non-repeatable read and phantom read can occur. Phantom read and non-repeatable. But here, what we need to understand here, once the two transactions are completed here, so we are going to commit the data. So whatever the committed data we are having in the database, the committed data only we are going to load. So while the two transactions are updating, in the non-repeatable read and phantom read, so those updated information we are not going to load here. Those updated information we are not going to load inside this particular read committed here. Whatever the committed data we are having in the database, those informations only we are going to load here. And finally, repeatable read here. So repeatable read. Now what exactly the repeatable read is providing here? Getting the point. So isolation, repeatable read. And here, if you observe, here we are going to work on the multiple transactions here. So multiple transactions, they are going to read the same field. Getting the point. And now what we can call it as a unless, which is not yet changed by the transaction here. Just we are trying to read the same field of the data with multiple transactions here. But the particular data is not going to change it by all the transactions here. All the transactions here. Now you can see, so that the read, non-repeatable reads are prevented here. Only the phantom reads can occur. The phantom read is nothing but we are performing on the several rows here. We are not performing on the entire table here. Just we are performing several rows. And here, now what we need to understand here, the transaction, whatever the transaction we are trying to read, the row which is with uncommitted changes here. Now you can see the level is like this particular level is going to prohibit a transaction from the reading the row which is not yet committed here. With the uncommitted information is nothing but which is not yet committed here. And now what we need to understand here, and here the second transaction is going to alter the row, and the first transaction read the same row here. The first transaction, basically what we need to understand here, the second and first transaction both are performing on the table row here. Getting the point. So the particular transactions are going to perform the sum of the column which are available in the table. And so here those tables also, it's not going to committed here, but here we are not going to work on the repeatable data here. So the transaction 1 is updating and transaction 2 is loading. Transaction 2 is updating, transaction 1 is loading. Getting the point. So this is the way we are trying to load the repeatable read data here. Getting the point. Transaction 1 is going to alter the row, and transaction 2 is going to read the data. And transaction 1 is going to alter the row, and the transaction 2 is going to reread the data here. Getting the point. So if we want to do like this, now what we can do? We can go for this particular enum type called repeatable read here. And finally, we are having serializable here. Finally, we are having here serializable here. And here, all these particular constants are prevented here. All these particular constants are prevented. The T rate, So non-repeatable and phantom read here. But how exactly which is going to work here? So as I explained here, if you see here, this particular isolation, one transaction read all the routes and satisfy the condition. Getting the point? One transaction is going to read all the routes and that is satisfy the condition. And the second transaction is inside the row that satisfy the condition here. That satisfy the condition. And the first transaction reread the same condition and reverting the condition with the phantom row and which is read by the second here. Now what you are understanding is one by one operations we are going to perform. One by one operations we are going to perform here. So we are not going to give you the option to enter the multiple transactions here. So now here we are inside this particular serializable here. So we may get some locking mechanism here. Internally, only one transaction enter into the particular tables here, and it will try to perform the operation. It will come out of the particular tables here, and after this, second transaction will enter. So second transaction will perform the operations here. So this is the way one by one transactions are going to enter into this particular table. So this is the another concept called serializable here. So most of the cases will work on the serializable here. Getting the point? Most of the cases will work on the serializable here. Okay, now so change to the serializable here. We identify the different problems here. So for this problem, we can go for the serializable. So the whatever the data we are expecting, the expected data we can get here. And so read only. Another property we are having here, read only here. So read only is nothing but whether it is a only the transaction, it is only a read related transaction, or it's trying to update the transaction, or it is inserting any data into the database. So read only is nothing but only we are trying to load the data from the database. We are not modifying the column here. We are not modifying the particular column. So now what we can do, read only we can make as a true here. Read only we can make as a true here. And transaction timeout here. The particular transaction timeout here. So if you observe any real-time application, we are going to get some time here. So within the short period, if the transaction is not yet completed here, the entire transaction will be rolled back here. The entire transaction will be rolled back here. So this is the time frame we can set for each transaction here. So this is all about the declarative transaction here. To work on this particular declarative transaction, now what we can do. So before going to discuss this particular transaction, now we can see rollback for. If anything, while rollbacking the transaction, if anything is happened, we can extend this particular exception class and we can rethrow the exception here. We can rethrow the exception here. And here, just we can specify what are the classes we are having for this particular rollback here. Rollback exception classes here. So these two indicating here we can providing the class information and we are going to provide the name of the classes here. Whenever we are getting any exception, what are the classes we are going to call. These are the rollback mechanism here, but we don't want to provide here. But internally, so we are provide like the exceptions are going to handle here. Whether it is a runtime exception or normal exception is going to take care of this particular rollback related exceptions here. So to declare this particular transaction here, now what we can do, we need to define the particular namespace here. The particular namespace here. So here we are working on the beans here. And I think we already changed the particular file. Okay, so anyway, we'll copy here. Tx is equals to and here we can provide the Tx here. So we'll see whether this particular Tx is getting the data or not. How we can understand here? So with help of this particular, okay, now we are getting the data. And we can go for the 3.0 XSD. Right. So once we save here, here we can go for the transaction annotation driven. So this we are going to provide the, because we are working on the declarative transaction. So to understand the, like, to share the information to the container, so like which transaction we are going to work, if it is a declarative transaction, we can provide the this particular annotation driven. This particular annotation driven here. Okay. Now, so we'll see the simple example how we identified here. Read on the false and timeout here. What we will do, we'll copy this. Return. Okay. With some 48, we want to insert the data. Now you can see with the 48 also the data is inserted. Sorry. Oh, we changed the schema here. But now what we can do, we'll change the information here. Transaction 1, 2, 3, 78. Transaction manager 74. With the transaction manager 74, the data is inserted or not. Now you can see 74, it is inserted. But how it is inserted? With help of the, this is the transaction annotation we implemented here. Now what I will do, I want to run with the same example in the debug mode, because we made it timeout here. So we'll wait 1-2 minutes, like 1-2 seconds here, so that the time is going to complete. If the time will complete here, we can see whether we are getting an exception or not. What happened? Okay, transaction is committed. Sorry. So still the transaction is committed here. So instead of doing this, now what we can do, we'll change one. We'll try with one more time. Maybe, okay, so still committing the transaction here. Okay, so instead of doing this, so read only two. So this is getting an exception. Write operation not allow read only mode. This particular transaction is only applicable to the read only. But now what we are doing, we are trying to update the table information here. So we don't want to update the records here when we are trying to make a read only as a true. Only we can load the data from the database here. So this is indicating here, but we are expecting timeout related here, but timeout, so still it is taking and it is trying to perform the operations here. Okay. So this is all about the simple example on the transactional, right? So we'll implement the transaction for each and every class. So as of now, whatever the classes we are going to discuss here, the Hibernate concepts and JDBC concepts and this particular transaction concept will implement, and we'll move on to the upcoming concepts here. So any questions regarding this particular transactional information with a programmatic and declarative? Okay. If you don't have anything here, so tomorrow we'll continue Spring MVC example here. How this particular Spring MVC is going to work. So tomorrow we'll start with a new module. As of now, we discuss the Spring Core. So later we discuss the Spring JDBC. Later we discuss about the Spring ORM. Now the transaction also we discuss here. Now tomorrow we'll move on to the Spring MVC here. Okay. If we don't have anything, we'll continue tomorrow.